Hello friends, this is Crybaby Cinema Homestead. I'm Aubrey, and I have got 4 packages today to open up for you. At least 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 packages. So the first 2, this is Terroir seeds, Terroir, and this is Baker Creek. And then I have some from a couple really interesting ways to get seeds for a really cheap method where you just get tons and tons of seeds. So watch till the end to be able to see that. Let's go ahead and open up the Terroir seeds first, and then we'll do Baker Creek, and then we'll get into my kind of interesting, strange way to prep up seeds and to have really amazing food storage, seed storage, and just be able to keep seeds going and having just a plethora, absolute enormous amount of seeds stocked up. Let's go ahead and start with these, which are going to be smaller seed packets, but I have some seed packets that are literally 5 pounds. To be honest, this first seed order was $71, and I got a lot of products here. Let's go ahead and delve into what I did decide to get. So this one here looks like a gift because it says with our compliments, and it's a gourmet radish blend. I wouldn't have ordered radishes, just probably because I have like pounds of radish seeds. Now I do tend to buy the ones in bulk that are probably daikon, but this will be a smaller, like what you're expecting, like the little gourmet type radish seeds, and that was a complimentary gift. So thank you, Terroir seeds. Evening scented stock. So this one I did buy because I wanted something that was going to be very fragrant. I am very sensitive to smells, and really even just having something that smells nice in the garden can really be a great pick-me-up. So I got these pretty purple lilac flowers that are small, but their fragrance in the evening is unforgettable. And I love to garden in the evening time in Washington. It will be light in our summertime till pretty late, after like 9 o'clock. And that's when I do a lot of the hard work. And I just love something that smells nice in the evening. So I got that evening scented stock. And then we've got I got a flowering tobacco. I don't smoke or anything like that, and I didn't get it for that purpose. I don't even know if it's something you can smoke, but I got it because of the flowers. So it says alluring, fragrant, trumpet-shaped flowers in mixed shades of lavender, carmine, pink, purple, rose, red, white, and occasionally yellow on top of all elegant stems. So my plan is to grow this out front. I'm hoping it will be just an absolute beautiful, fragrant flower. I've not grown this before. I've had the idea of growing it before, and but I haven't. Spectacular breadseed poppy mix. I have breadseed poppies that I purchased from, I think, from Baker Creek, and this is a mix. So I don't usually buy mixes. I usually want to know exactly what I'm getting, but I did buy a mix here. But the idea here is that I would be able to save the seeds in order to, add to our food supply. Yes, you have to have a lot of seeds, but poppies have a lot of seeds. Let me show you one of the poppies my husband picked for me. So I want to show you these beautiful poppy seed pods. They're beautiful when they're flowering, but they're beautiful when they're done flowering. What's cool, and I love them for dried arrangements, is they have these little chambers. And as the wind blows through those chambers, the seeds come flying out. Now, I don't know if the breadseed poppy is going to be like this or not. This is in an ornamental type. My husband does a lot of like landscaping stuff, and a lady was just cleaning out her garden and said, just take whatever you want, because she starts fresh every year, brand new every year. But isn't that beautiful? And the wind goes right through there, those chambers. They're a little bit dusty. And I poured some in my hand, and that's what those seeds look like. Now, for those, probably different, because those are going to be like an edible type, so it's probably not going to be that tiny. I don't know. I haven't grown them yet. So, but I'm going to plant some of these seeds too, and so I brought a Ziploc baggie over to put them in. But I wanted to show you how they can come out of the chambers if you dump them upside down too. I can demonstrate this. I don't know if I can. Okay, my son's holding the camera for me so I can see if I can get more out of here. See, I already collected the seeds out of these, and I thought, you know what? I'm keeping them as an arrangement, but we'll see if there's any more in them. And look, there are. Stay right there, and I'm going to put that other one upside down in the baggie and take the other pod, and I've got a bunch of these pods. See, look at that. What's really cool is how the wind blows through them naturally, and it dries them, and they come flying up through those little holes. That's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to put these into this baggie. I'm going to actually have them upside down. I'm probably going to take the rest of them too, the ones I have in my dried arrangement, and I'm going to put them upside down and just see. I don't want to lose any of those precious seeds. How many more I can get out of those pods. So this is something I do too, is I do collect my own seeds as well as buy them in absolute large quantities. So I also got some climbing nasturtium tall mix, and nasturtiums are absolutely beautiful. They come in lots of different colors. They are edible. This one here is a mix of red, maroon, orange, and cream colored. The most common is orange and yellow. And that's like if you go to like Home Depot or something and you get one of those, they have really nice, like very generous sized packets. They're like plastic, and then they have cardboard on the outside. Those are very generous, but they're mostly yellow or an orange. And I did want to get a couple other different colors. Also, you need to read the packages to see if they are trailing or vining, or if they're bush. This one here, does it say? It's tall mix, so it's climbing. But a lot of them are little bush plants. The ones that are bush, the little tiny bush ones, I like to plant around other plants all over the place and just like stick them in anytime there's a hole somewhere. They're beautiful. They are great for pollinators. They have the flowers and the leaves have a spicy flavor to them. I don't eat the flowers. I haven't eaten the flowers yet because if I eat that flower, it won't make me a seed. But I have eaten the leaves, and they taste kind of like black pepper. I think they will be very good in a salad, or in a soup, or on a sandwich. So like if you run out of mustard or something, you could use nasturtium leaves. Next we have sculpit or stridolo. It's 45 days to grow, fast growing Italian green that combines the complex flavors of chicory, arugula, and tarragon. So I'll see if I can post a picture of what the plant looks like. If they have that on their website or not, I'm not sure. But I haven't grown sculpit before. So I always like to grow something different and unique, interesting, not like the garden variety, the normal garden variety. Navajo, Hopi, or Hopi tea. Not sure how to pronounce that. If you do know, please correct me in the comments. Beautiful native coreopsis-like blooms stand out like radiant yellow beams. Makes a great tea. Numerous medicinal and traditional uses. And that's why I got this, was because I want to plant even more things that are beautiful, that are native, and that are also have either some kind of medicinal or edible application. Clary Sage. And I grow, I have a giant, just beautiful sage plant in the backyard. I will link my video of when I did a video earlier about gathering sage when my mom wanted it for Thanksgiving or something. Heart-shaped leaves with lilac, pale blue, pink or white flowers. Forms 10 to 12 inch rosettes in the first year. Tall flower spikes the second. So I do plan on planting this as an ornamental. And I don't know what other uses there might be for it. This, as far as I know, is not a culinary type, but there probably is some kind of application for it. So, but it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. That's why I got it. A lot of those salvias, that are ornamental are just absolutely gorgeous, and they're relatives. So I did get some more of this Zappallo de Tronco Squash. 60 days, acorn type squash with great texture and flavor. It can be eaten when small. This is the versatility here, guys. Small squash or left to mature and used as winter squash. So I highly recommend getting squashes that are good at multiple stages. Like if you buy a zucchini, and I'm definitely still going to grow zucchini, but it's really not, once it gets too big, it's not going to be yummy. I'm not saying you can't use it, but it's not going to be as good. I don't think I've ever been this excited over a tomato in my life. I am over the moon excited about this variety. They had another variety that was also a Galapagos tomato, but it was like a mixture, and I wanted the real thing. This is the wild Galapagos tomato from the Galapagos Islands. I am like such a nerd when it comes to plants and animals and nature, and it's always been a dream of mine to go to the Galapagos Islands. You know, like Darwin went there, and he did his whole species, you know, like you know, his whole theories and stuff based off the animals he saw on the Galapagos. You know, it's full of this diversity that exists like nowhere else on Earth. So this wild Galapagos tomato is from that area. So in my own way, this is my vacation to the Galapagos. So like I can't even tell you how excited I am to grow anything that grew there. It's just really fabulous, really interesting. Side note on Darwin. Darwin actually met one of my, it's not my ancestor because she would have been my second cousin 6 times removed, but he met one of my relatives long time ago. Obviously, he was only a child at the time, but he visited her home, and her name was Sarah Ponsonby, and she has kind of a controversial life story, but you can look at my community tab to see a picture of her. But yeah, so there's actually like a movie documentaries about her life. But she didn't go to the Galapagos, but she met Darwin when he was only a child, when he visited her Gothic mansion. And I just think that I'm kind of living vicariously through this tomato plant, that in a way I'm kind of touching history and I'm having an experience with this that I will not be able to have. I'm not going to be able to afford going to the Galapagos. That's just not something that's in my life, like not that my life plan, but it's just not in my hopes because it's just not possible. But I can grow this plant that came from the Galapagos. So I'm super excited about this. And in some ways, I feel like I'm touching history and my family tree, like backwards, and just really excited about it, you guys. 70 days, indeterminate tomato, one of 2 wild tomato species endemic to the Galapagos. Small grape-sized yellow-orange fruits are intensely sweet, salty, and complex. The other type they sell this is like the parent, one of the parents of the other type, and the other parent of the other type I don't think is from the Galapagos. So I wanted the pure thing. This is the wild Galapagos tomato, and that's if I'm interpreting their information correctly. So you might want to do your own research if you go to their website and look at the different types of Galapagos tomatoes. So 6 to 8 weeks before last frost, we're going to sow them indoors. Seems pretty typical of the tomato instructions. Yes, very typical. So I'm going to grow it just like I grow my other cherry tomatoes. They're small, grape-sized. So that's even smaller than a cherry tomato. So it's going to be kind of like a truly wild tomato. Like usually when you have wild plants, they're not usually as abundant because we breed them for desired characteristics. So this is a wild one, and I'm super excited to grow it, and I want to isolate it so that I can save seeds and have them really be the true wild type and not a hybrid. So I can't even tell you guys. I'm so excited. Have you ever been this excited about a seed variety in your life? I didn't even know it existed. until I went to their website to buy something else, and I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, I just have to have it. So I didn't just get one. I had to get a couple. That way I know I can have it for next year, right? I'm going to plant several. Now I'm free to plant a whole packet and save one for the future. I also bought some more Cubanelle Sweet Peppers because we love using Cubanelle for chili rellenos. I know that's not the traditional pepper for chili rellenos, but I like the flavor, and the skin of the Cubanelle is thinner, so it's not like you have sometimes the traditional. I'm spacing out on what the traditional pepper is. I'll try to put it on the screen if I can remember, but my experience eating those is that the skin is so thick, it's almost like you're trying to bite into your food and then peel out plastic out of it. Otherwise, you have to skin the pepper, like blanch it and then peel it off. And a lot of people don't do that, and so it is like eating like something that doesn't taste like food when you have the skin. So this Cubanelle pepper is just so much easier, sweeter, milder, thinner skin. You can peel the skin off if you want to, but probably don't need to. It does taste like a sweet bell pepper. It's so good. And I don't know, like, there are a couple other peppers I would use as a substitute for the traditional type, but Cubanelle is definitely my favorite for chili rellenos. It'd also be really good chopped up in in some kind of stir fry or in an omelet. That would be just wonderful. I love to get flowers that are black or almost black. It's really hard to find flowers that are, basically the true black flower does not really exist. They're basically really, really dark blue or purple. But this is called a black hollyhock, and hollyhocks and mallows are some of my favorite flowers. It says single outhouse type flowers from darkest maroon to bluish black on sturdy stems, a dramatic dimension to gardens. And then we're going to be starting these inside as well, probably the same time as the tomatoes. Or you can plant them outside after the frost is passed. That's probably easier to do, but I really want to make sure I get at least some. I have to decide if I'm going to plant a few of them early, just so I know I have a few. Now you are treating them as biennials, possibly. I'm never going to kill my plants. I'm going to let them keep going and going and going. If it ends up being a perennial, so be it. A lot of biennials will self-sow, but they're recommending that you sow seeds every year to make sure. Because if it's a biennial, then it should be the second year they're flowering. So maybe you're not going to get flowers the first year. I don't know. I guess I'll do it and see and let you know if I get flowers the first year or if I have to wait to the second year. Because usually biennials flower the second year and then they die. But we'll see. I did meet a lady who was having a yard sale who had some hollyhocks. They weren't black. But I told her how pretty they were. And she said, oh, those ugly things, I can't get rid of them. They just keep coming back every year. And I was like, that's a good problem to have. So hopefully they'll last a long time. That would be a happy problem to have. This is another black hollyhock, and probably what's happening for her is that they are self-seeding. Indian Spring Mix Hollyhock. So these are going to be yellow, purple, pink, red, and white from summer to frost. Okay, hold on. That's a long time for them to be blooming. From summer to when it freezes. That's amazing. Looks like the same planting instructions. So you can either start them a couple months early inside or direct sow them after the last frost. And then they're going to be also biennials. Sometimes I'll get something that says it's a biennial and it ends up living longer. We'll see. Van Gogh Sunflower Mix. So this just means it's an assortment of flowers. But I named my oldest son after Vincent van Gogh. So I had to buy this packet, and I got two. One for me and one for him. So I'm going to try to encourage my kids. Some of them are adults. Some of them are children still. Very large age gaps here. But I'm encouraging my kids to have their own garden. So I'm going to give my oldest son a packet of these Van Gogh sunflowers and try to inspire him to have his own garden. Every once in a while, he'll tell me he has a dream of having his own little homestead. That would be really amazing. Let's get into our next package, which is from Baker Creek, which I'm sure is a favorite of most of you, as it is for me. I mean, honestly, I don't, there's not really a seed company I hate, but it's such a great value. You don't have to pay for shipping. You usually get some kind of free seed packet if you spend $10 or more, and they have just an enormous variety. So let's rip open and see what I got from Baker Creek. So from Baker Creek, I spent $13.42, and I purchased 3 packages and got 1 for free. So I did already have oyster leaf seeds, but I'm at the point where I haven't grown them, and I'm going to plant them this year, and I want to have some seeds for next year. I'm in love with the idea of growing these. I actually did try planting them before, and I don't know if it was my mistake or what, but they got like that big and then they were just gone. I don't know if birds ate them, pests ate them or whatever, but they just disappeared. I have one garden bed in the backyard that has always done really terrible, and I'm going to guess it has to do with the soil that's in that bed. I'm going to dig it all out and just move it to an area of the yard where that soil doesn't matter. It's just going to be like, yard with grass and stuff, because the grass seems to survive anything. But I'm going to put new soil into that bed and try again and see if I can get some things to grow there. I'm not going to try to grow oyster leaf there. I'm going to plant things that are really okay with a lot of intense sun. So something different. But the oyster leaf is a really interesting plant, and I have high hopes for it, so I'm giving it a second and a third chance to do better for me. It is perennial if you can get it to take. It's hardy to zone 3. I'm zone 8. It grows wild along the Scottish coast, which is one of the reasons why I want to grow it, because I do a lot of genealogy, especially recently, and I do have some ancestors from Scotland, and I think that's kind of my way of touching history and reconnecting with my past, like my lineage. So most of my ancestry is not from Scotland. There's a lot from from England. We're on the right and wrong sides of history sometimes in some places. But we do have some relatives who were from Scotland, and I just love the idea of growing things from areas of the world where, where I might never see. I do have the dream of one day going to Scotland. I'd love to do some kind of genealogy trip in the future if I ever win the lottery. I mean, but you have to play to win, so I guess I'm not going to win. If somehow I become independently wealthy, I will go and see for myself and maybe find some new plants to grow in my garden. But this is perennial if you can get to grow. It's hardy to zone 3, so it can stand cold weather. A lot of things that can stand really cold weather don't also like really hot weather. So that might have been my problem, because I was trying to grow it in hot weather in a garden bed that really hasn't been very successful. So thick, tender leaves, perfect in salads and other raw dishes. Sow seeds in fall or in very early spring. And I did, I don't know how early I sowed them. I think I started them in the spring and then I transplanted them. Remove seeds from fridge and germinate at 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So maybe I will, one of my tricks for putting them in the fridge and not having them accidentally get thrown out is taping the seed packet to the inside of the refrigerator door so it's not in the way of anything, and then tell my family, if you remove this seed packet and throw it away when you clean out the fridge, there will be consequences. Dun dun dun. Okay, so tender leaves, perfect for salads, raw dishes, We're going to be sowing them in the fall or early spring, so they'd like to have some kind of cold period. They call it cold stratification. So I will do the refrigerator method. That way I can kind of plant it whenever, and I'm not as tied to a certain time frame. They're going to germinate about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the germination may be slow and erratic, and that's probably where I didn't have great success. If you are a beginner gardener, I would not recommend oyster leaf. I would say go with collards or, collard greens are easy. So, or cabbage, like loose leaf lettuce or loose leaf cabbage. Leaf cabbages are great to grow. Kale is great to grow. Super, super easy. Licinto kales are very easy. But this is going to be a little bit harder because you have to cold stratify it, which is that cold situation. It has to be about 70 degrees, and you're still going to have slow and erratic germination, which means you might have some germinate really, really late, and you might think it's a weed because it didn't germinate when you thought it was going to. So, doesn't mean low germination rate. It means it's not going to germinate all at the same time. So that's something to keep in mind when you're growing the oyster leaf. And then I did order these Emmer Wheat seeds. One reason is because I inherited a really beautiful picture frame that has wheat art in it that was made by a farmer like 100 and something years ago. He was the husband of my mom's favorite great aunt or something like that. So my family does have farming as part of our heritage, and apparently they grew some wheat. I didn't know that about them, but I just learned this a couple years ago, and if I can, I'll try to show you a picture of that wheat art. I'm interested in actually getting into that, and so one of the reasons I want to grow wheat is because how beautiful it is. The way it sways in the wind is just absolutely gorgeous. If you have like a beautiful flower garden and you plant some wheat in the back of it, like plant it first, it sprouts up, and then in the background you have this like wave of wheat waving in the background, and you got the flowers in front of it. It's like a living flower arrangement. It's absolutely gorgeous. But also, when it gets full of seeds, they nod down, and that is just beautiful to me too. I actually grew some wheat just out of curiosity. I just bought some online one year, and from somebody probably on eBay or something. I don't really recommend that. You don't know what you're going to get, but do what you're going to do. Emmer wheat, 85 to 180 days. An ancient wheat, emmer was found growing in isolated areas of the Middle East, Italy, and Russia. I do have like 1% Eastern European. And that was on my dad's side. He did a genealogy test. But I did find that there was one lady from Russia who had a Norwegian sounding name, honestly, who married into my Norwegian side of my family. So kind of touching history there. Superior disease resistance, yields in poor soils, often digestible by people with gluten sensitivity. And that's one of there are several reasons why I wanted this. It's an ancient wheat, okay? The part where it's touching my history, and then that it's digestible possibly for people who have gluten sensitivities. I did have a nutritionist tell me she thought maybe I was sensitive to gluten, but I love bread too much, so I have not given it up. She recommended it, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try this and see if it's any better. Plant in early spring, work soil up fairly fine and well drained. You can apply mulch, grow until seed heads form, harvest when dry, thresh, and store. So it would be delusional to think you're going to probably grow enough wheat to be self-sufficient unless you have a wheat farm. I do know some people who have wheat farms, and it's like acres and acres and acres and acres and acres and acres for you to be able to have some kind of, business or something with that. you would have to have a ton of land to grow enough wheat to be self-sufficient. But maybe I'll make enough to do the wheat art, and maybe enough to make maybe a loaf of bread. Just for bragging rights, but let's say I grew it, I hold it, I milled it, I baked it, and here's your bread, and it better be good. After all that. The last packet I bought here, following the seed order, was this Kajari Melon. I think I've purchased it before. I don't know if I planted it. I've had terrible luck with melons, so I'm giving it another try. This one says it's collected by Joseph Simcox in India. An unusual yet beautiful copper red fruit. I definitely agree with that. It's beautiful. Striped with green and cream. Very sweet, pale flesh. Prefer slightly sandy, very rich, well-drained soil. Do not overwater vines, especially as fruit is approaching maturity. If you overwater melons, they will split and rot. It's very dangerous. Don't do that. So, and if it splits, it's basically compost. The other day, my husband had a watermelon, and he didn't realize that it had spoiled, but he bought it that way, basically. He split it open, and it stunk up the whole house. It was disgusting. I imagine that would be very dangerous. So be careful not to overwater. You don't want it to split on you. If it splits on you, honestly, I would just say that becomes chicken fodder or compost, and I would not take the risk of eating a melon that had split. It's too dangerous. Here we have, this is actually a gift. So this was a free gift that they gave me, and I have tons of lettuce now because I went on that lettuce rampage. I'll post a link to the lettuce rampage. I bought like every kind of lettuce I could get my hands on, and I bought pounds of lettuce. Pounds and pounds and pounds of lettuce leaves. Leafy lettuce seeds. Because of that whole situation where it's possible to put vaccinations and possibly other things into lettuce and grow it. So it is a new technology that does work, but scientists are trying to figure out how to get the right dosage just right. So it's not available to the public yet. It scares the living life out of me. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. I think it's a terrible idea. It sounds just absolutely moronic. So I went ahead and bought as much lettuce as I could. So I don't really need this. So I could give it away. Maybe someday when my channel takes off, I'll do some like free seed giveaways where I give away some of the seeds that people gave me for free. We'll see. My channel is too small to do those kinds of things right now. But maybe in the future, that would be kind of a nice thing to do. So let's go ahead and get into those other packages. I have some bulk packages that I think are pretty interesting, and it's a really great way to get seeds for super cheap. This is the way to get special varieties, but what I'm going to show you next is how you get seeds for literally fractions of a penny. What have we here from Walmart? Yay! Okay, so yes, I like to buy seeds in bulk sometimes. And I basically found this hack. I've said it in some of my other videos, that if you want to get a lot of seeds and do it very frugally, this is kind of the way to do it. So I got some more fenugreek, and I have a big bag, I don't know, a couple pounds, at least maybe 3 to 5 pounds of it that I'm going to use first. But this is going to be like part of a seed bank for myself. We'll do a little seed saving. And every type of seed has a different longevity in terms of storage. So make sure if you do your seed purchasing this way that you have a rotation system and that you have like a purpose for your seeds. Now, these are meant for sprouting. So, like to have as like microgreens and stuff. So these will not go to waste for sure. But I like to use seeds that are meant for sprouting and microgreens as garden seeds. I let them grow out and like practically do their whole life cycle. One, because I'm kind of a a plant nerd that way. And also because if you let the plant keep going, you can, get a crop and more seeds. So that's what I like to do. But I got this whole package here. It's huge, right? And I'll pop a note on the screen how much I paid for it. But you see here it says best before 5/20/26. Okay, but here's the thing. It's going to last longer than that. This is for if you're like sprouting it. Like if you're sprouting it out of the bag. Sowing seeds in this garden soil is not as risky to the manufacturer who like sends you the seeds, that packages it up. They have to be responsible for, like if you were to have food that's rancid or something. But these will definitely grow past that date. I've planted seeds before that were several years past their expiration, where I bought them for beans or for sprouting seeds. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I should take the risk. Maybe, I'm not sure how I stored it, was not proper or something. So I went ahead and planted, and those seeds did just absolutely fabulous. So this is a hack I use all the time to get just a ton of seeds, because usually if you get like a package of seeds, it's going to be less than a teaspoon of seed. And that can really vary in quantity from sometimes you might buy a seed packet that only has 5 seeds. Some have 10, 25, 50, 100. Some, if you're lucky, have 250, 300, or 500 seeds. But this is going to be a ton. I'll do some math to tell you how much seed is approximately in here. But basically what I do is I'll Google how many fenugreek seeds are in a pound, and then I'll divide it and then multiply to be able to figure out exactly how many seeds should be in here roughly. So I got the fenugreek. It's also called methi, METHI, and I think it works really well as potpourri too. So if you want to take a little sachet, even like a little tea bag, like a clean tea bag, fill it with a tablespoon of this and pull it tight, put it in your sock drawer or something, or your, with your linens, it will make it smell like maple syrup. It just smells incredible. And so there are many things you can do with these seeds. One is to make some kind of a drink out of the seed. And I don't know exactly the instructions on that, but I'll pop a link in the description and comments on how to do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it because I'd have to kill the seeds. I know. I'm weird. I'm so weird. But there is a way to make a really lovely tea out of the seeds. The greens are also edible, and that's what I grew them in the past for, but then I couldn't bring myself to harvest them because I wanted to see the whole plant through the life cycle. But I planted them too late, and I didn't get the whole life cycle. So this time I'm going to plant them earlier. I'm going to look up more on the planting instructions. Now, these packets, because they're not meant to be planted as garden seeds, they're not going to have planting instructions. They're going to have sprouting instructions. So I would have to then look it up. One of my hacks is to go to other websites. Yes, I will. I'll do just Google, hey, how do you sprout? How do you grow fenugreek? But one of the things I like to do is go to the other websites like And My Gardener or Baker Creek or, whatever. And I will search to see if they have it as a product. If they have this kind of seed, then I look up their instructions. And that's been great. And also you can read comments and stuff to see what people have said about that kind of plant and how and so forth. So I'm definitely going to have those. Those are going to be for saving because I already have a giant bag open. What do we have here? Okay, this is broccoli. This is a pound of broccoli seeds. And yes, I already have broccoli seeds. I have all kinds of special seed varieties as well. But I did recently learn that I might be teaching a gardening club again, or advising a gardening club. So if that's the case, I'm going to have my students make up their own seed packets. Kids always want to grow, the basic stuff, to have a kitchen garden. So in this way, they could actually make up their own little seed packets and have some to grow at home outside of class. So we'll have some that we grow in class, and then we'll have some that they can take home and have their own garden. I've had students come back and tell me that they've had their parents, rip up a whole part of their yard and make a garden for them. And that it's just been amazing. So, and they've come back to me with pictures, like in the next grade level and the next grade level. I've had so many kids come back and show me pictures of their gardens that they planted with prize seeds that I give out in my regular classes, and those that they made their own packets in my gardening classes and my gardening clubs. So I got those with the idea of for my students, right? And then here, oh, this is huge. Oh. All right, you're building some muscles when you grow these. This is black chia. Okay, 5 pounds of black chia. There's so many uses for chia, and this is not just for me to grow. I'm actually buying it for, the fiber and other things as well. Talking about this, there is, what was the seed type? Flax. So I also have purchased in the past flax seeds in bulk like this, and there is a really unique use for them. You can make your own hair gel out of flax seed. You basically like soak it and it gets all gelatinous, and you can scoop it out without all the chaff, and you can refrigerate it, and that can be used as a hair gel. That's crazy. There are so many things. Think of the first versatility and how to be frugal. So this is food right now. This could be sprouted for food right now, and in a couple of days or a week you have food. There are some of these. This one here you can use to make a tea right now. You can sprout it, or you can plant it and eat the greens, or let it keep going and get more seeds and eat the greens also. Then you also have here the broccoli seeds. You can sprout those. Those would be really good for like sprout them and put them into a soup or on a sandwich or on the top of a salad. That would be delicious. So this is just, oh my gosh. That's 5 pounds of seeds here, a pound here, and a pound here. So this is 3 packages, but it's 7 pounds of seeds, which is probably, I'm going to guess, millions of seeds. And I got it for really a bargain. So I can be generous and share with my classes and my students, my neighbors, my friends, my family, and I can also save some for prepping. And I think that's really important. If you're a gardener and you're not a prepper, those two things kind of go hand in hand. And I just love the idea of, having a future. This is future right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I have next. This is another package from Food to Live. And I buy the Food to Live seeds off of the Walmart website. If you buy it directly from them, it's a lot more expensive. I don't know why. Somehow involving a third party would make it so much cheaper, but it is. So if you go to the Food to Live website, you'll see their products, what they have. You might maybe see more information possibly, but do a price comparison between Food to Live through Walmart versus Food to Live through their direct website, because I have saved a fortune. From my experience, what I saw within the last month or so, I did a price comparison, and it's way cheaper to buy it through Walmart. But you're still buying it from the same company. It's just a third party situation. So I think they realize that people who go to Walmart want a deal. And if you go directly to Food to Live, you're getting a different clientele, maybe who are maybe a little bit more granola and a little bit more willing to pay extra for organic, raw stuff. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get some scissors because this I cannot get open. I didn't offend anybody when I said granola. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, there are some people who are willing to pay extra in order to get things that are raw and organic. And it's like kind of like a hippie movement in Washington State, where it's just like people are affluent enough to pay extra for things to be a certain way. So I don't mean it in a bad way at all. But looking here, and this is black chia again. And I know it's silly to buy because I already have this giant bag. I think I might have bought this one first, but I also might have bought it because I was going to keep this one. I think maybe I was going to keep this one for myself And then I was going to use this one for making up little seed bags to give away as prizes and gifts and my classroom and stuff. And then this one will be the one I don't open up, at least for a while. But look at how pretty that is. I wonder if that's what the plant looks like when it grows. If that's the case, it's going to be absolutely beautiful in the garden. You know, there are a lot of plants that are edible and have other uses that can double as ornamentals as well. I might put this picture on the cover because that's just so beautiful. How pretty. Anyways, that looks great. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and get into one more package before we call it a day. Package is from Everwilde Farms, spelled Ever Wild with an E at the end. And I'm going to go ahead and rip this open and show you what I got here. I honestly don't remember what it is because, as you know, I have some kind of seed amnesia. Large package is one seed packet. This is one seed packet. I've mentioned this before. One thing I like about Everwilde Farms is that down at the bottom here, there is scripture. And also that every man should enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. Ecclesiastes 3:12. I love that. Look how big this package is. Wow. So this is one seed packet. Now they do sell smaller seed packets. I will tell you that. I went ahead and bought this giant package of sugar beet seeds. I do have some older seeds somewhere, and I want to make sure that I have plenty because for food security, I also want to be more self-sufficient, and I think it would be a really awesome learning experience to grow and process our own sugar. Long term, eventually, I want to get to the point where the only sugar we take into our bodies is natural. And if it's processed sugar, it's sugar that we processed. I think that will help us to be more cognizant of how much we're taking in with all the sweet stuff. So those are long-term goals. And I love growing beets. They're so easy. I follow the Charles Dowding method for growing beets, which is you plant 5 beet seeds in one hole, and then as they bulk up, you take one out, they'll fill in the space, and then take one out, and then they'll fill in the space. And I have found that to be very time saving. It saves time, it saves space, it's effective, and I don't know why, but my observations have been that my beets do better when they're grown this way. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I used to grow them like one seed, make a space, one seed, make a space. And that's what we were always told. And that's usually the case with most seeds. But for some reason, growing beets together makes them grow better. I don't know scientifically what it is about that. I'm not sure if it protects them in some way or what. But it's kind of crazy because you'll see like all 3 to 5 beets bulging out of the ground. And you'll take one, it'll be like kind of medium sized. They'll fill in, and the last one you get ends up being really big. So don't over sow and then thin them. Let them bulk up and then pull one out. Use it as a beet. You can also eat the greens. So my plan is to grow the sugar beets the same way I've grown the golden beets and other beet types, the red ones as well, like bullseye and stuff like that. But I'm going to be growing my own sugar and processing my own sugar. So I hope that you've enjoyed looking at all the seeds that we've unpackaged today. Hopefully you're getting some ideas about like how to buy in bulk and really get a lot for your money. Maybe sparking some interest in prepping and having a food pantry. This is kind of a way to think a little outside the food pantry box, that not just to have canned food and dry. It is important to have canned food and dry food and long shelf life food, but it's also important to have living food, to have food that's actually alive that you can turn around and use. Now, some of these things you can sprout and grow and eat in a couple of days. Some of them you can make into like with the fenugreek or methy, you can use it to make some kind of herbal tea, like right away. Some of the things you're going to, have going and wait and have a longer wait time. So it's not like the food pantry where you can go, oh, for dinner tonight, we're going to go grab this, right? It's like, okay, for dinner tonight, we're going to, have whatever is there. But then you can plant these things for food. You can use some of them for sprouts, and you have to wait 3 days or 7 days or a week or whatever. But this is another way of thinking of your food pantry outside the box, and to be a little bit more clever in your food preps. Imagine the nutrients and life that you're getting from food that you grow yourself versus food that's been like sitting on a shelf for 3 or 4 years. I hope that you'll give this a try. Be good, be sweet, grow a garden if you want to eat, and I will see you on the next video.